British and Irish Lions, Joe McCarthy's injury and potential changes for second test versus Australia. *** Injury scare looms. Can the British and Irish Lions overcome the loss of key player Joe McCarthy in the decisive second test against Australia? ***. As the British and Irish Lions gear up to face Australia in the pivotal second test at Melbourne Cricket Ground, a daunting challenge emerges in the form of a potentially crippling injury to Ireland's stalwart, Joe McCarthy. The towering figure limped off the pitch in the first test, succumbing to the debilitating effects of plantar fasciitis, and his participation in the upcoming rematch hangs precariously in the balance. With the clock ticking down to Andy Farrell's team announcement, McCarthy's fitness will be put to the ultimate test in Thursday's training session. If he fails to prove his readiness, the Lions will be forced to reconfigure their pack, potentially paving the way for Ollie Chessum to join forces with captain Maro Itoje in the second row. Alternatively, Tadhg Beirne might be redeployed from flanker to lock, opening up a spot on the bench and potentially catapulting Jack Morgan into the matchday 23. But here's where it gets intriguing. Could this enforced change spark a broader reshuffle? While the Lions' dominant display in the first test suggests that unenforced alterations to the pack are unlikely, the back three is a different story altogether. The underwhelming performances of wings James Lowe and Tommy Freeman have left the door ajar for a newcomer to seize the opportunity. And this is the part most people miss. Among the quartet of potential replacements, only one remains unscathed by injury or defensive vulnerabilities. Blair Kinghorn, Scotland's versatile fullback, has emerged as the ace up Farrell's sleeve, demonstrating his readiness for test duty with a solid comeback from a knee injury against the First Nations and Pacifica 15. Kinghorn's adaptability, having recently filled the wing position for his club Toulouse, makes him an attractive proposition. Controversy alert. Should Owen Farrell's solid 80-minute outing against FNP be enough to secure a spot on the bench, potentially at the expense of other deserving candidates? Share your thoughts in the comments below. As the Lions embark on the second installment of their three-game odyssey against Australia, the stakes are higher than ever. With over 90,000 spectators set to converge on the MCG, Farrell's selection dilemmas will be scrutinised like never before. Will he opt for continuity or shake things up to keep the Wallabies guessing? The world will be watching. Key takeaways. Joe McCarthy's injury casts a shadow over the Lions' second test preparations. Potential changes to the pack and back three could significantly impact the team's dynamics. Blair Kinghorn emerges as a dark horse to revitalise the Lions' wing position. Owen Farrell's bench spot hangs in the balance. Do you think he deserves a call-up? Upcoming fixtures. Saturday, July 26th. Australia, second test, Melbourne. Saturday, August 2nd, Australia, third test, Sydney. Watch the British and Irish Lions tour of Australia exclusively on Sky Sports. Farrell demands more for biggest game of our lives. British and Irish Lions versus Wallabies. Farrell calls for greater effort in what he describes as the most crucial match of our lives. Andy Farrell has announced that he will finalise his selection for the second test on Wednesday, as he prepares for what he believes will be the most crucial match of our lives against the Wallabies this Saturday. The British and Irish Lions managed to scrape through a challenging match against a spirited First Nations and Pacifica 15 at Marvel Stadium, where Jamie Osborne's 2 tries were pivotal in securing a 24-19 victory, keeping their unbeaten streak intact since arriving in Australia. This performance has certainly given the Lions coach plenty to ponder as he heads into the second test at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG. Gary Ringrose made a notable return from a concussion and showcased his skills in the centre position. However, it was less than ideal that he had to play for 67 minutes due to an injury sustained by Darcy Graham, which may affect Farrell's plans for the upcoming match. Blair Kinghorn also completed the full 80 minutes after missing the previous 2 games due to a knee injury. His performance was a mix of highs and lows. He had 2 passes intercepted in the first half but later assisted Osborne in scoring his second try. There is also a possibility of a second-row position opening up if Joe McCarthy is unable to recover from his foot injury. The Leinster lock has not yet participated in training this week, and if he is ruled out, Scotland's Scott Cummings has certainly made a case for himself with his recent performance. As Farrell prepares to finalise his squad for what could be a series-clinching match against the Wallabies, he anticipates making some significant decisions during his final selection meeting. There are many factors to consider. Some performances were undoubtedly strong, he remarked following the narrow victory. However, we must also think about what is best for this second game, the dynamics of the squad, and how it feels. Should we make a few changes to inject some freshness, or stick with the same players? All these elements come into play, and we must choose what is best for the team, especially for a game of this magnitude at the MCG, where over 90,000 fans will be present. It should be a challenge, and it certainly will be. Overall, the Lions' performance was somewhat disjointed. They began strongly, with tries from Osborne and Darcy Graham giving them a 14-0 lead. However, that advantage quickly vanished, and they found themselves tied at 14-14 at half-time. Although they managed to score 2 more tries, one from Osborne and another from Duhan van der Merwe, to lead 24-14 as they entered the final quarter, they were forced to defend against a relentless First Nations and Pacifica team that refused to back down. Farrell expressed his frustration at how his team began to treat the match like an exhibition game after such a promising start. "We weren't earning the right to play," he explained. "We thought there was space available, but it wasn't as accessible as we believed. We kept attempting wide passes and playing behind the gain line, which made things difficult for ourselves, especially as they were applying pressure and contesting the breakdown. Controlling the breakdown becomes incredibly challenging when you're moving backward. We needed to focus on playing the game in front of us. At times, the space simply wasn't there, so we had to make the right decisions and play in the appropriate areas of the field. We were our own worst enemies on a few occasions, but I believe we managed to recover quite well." Now, all eyes are on the upcoming Test Series finale at the MCG on Saturday at 11 a.m. Irish time, with the Lions aiming to secure a victory with a game to spare for the first time in 28 years. Farrell noted that their review of the previous weekend's 27-19 win against the Wallabies in Brisbane highlighted several areas for potential improvement. "We will need to make significant improvements to ensure a win is within reach, especially since we know Australia will come back stronger. If we can't get excited about what's ahead, then we are in the wrong place. For me, this is the biggest game of our lives for every member of our squad, and we will approach this week with that mindset." For more insights, tune into the RT Rugby podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Stay updated with a live blog of the Australia vs. British and Irish Lions match on Saturday starting at 11 a.m. on rte.ie/sport and the RT News app. Lions second test, Farrell demands, biggest game, performance McCarthy doubtful, Smith cleared. Andy Farrell has declared that the upcoming second test in Melbourne is the most significant match of our lives for the British and Irish Lions. He has urged his players to summon their energy and focus for this crucial game, especially after witnessing his reserve team narrowly defeat the First Nations and Pacifica 15. This match presents a golden opportunity for Farrell's squad to secure their first Lions series victory in 12 years, with a game still to play. However, they may have to face this challenge without second-row player Joe McCarthy, who has been unable to train fully this week due to a foot injury. On a brighter note, Marcus Smith has successfully passed a head injury assessment, which means he remains eligible for selection in the second test. In their last outing on Tuesday, the Lions, captained by Owen Farrell for the evening, managed to edge past the First Nations and Pacifica 15 with a score of 24-19, having been tied at 14-14 at halftime. Blair Kinghorn returned from injury to play the full 80 minutes, although his performance was somewhat inconsistent. Gary Ringrose stepped in early in the match after Darcy Graham sustained an injury. Owen Farrell showcased some impressive skills, making a strong case for a spot on the bench for Saturday's match. For the most part, it is anticipated that Andy Farrell will retain the majority of his starting lineup from the first Test victory in Brisbane. Ollie Chessum is poised to step in for McCarthy if needed. In Brisbane, the Lions had a commanding lead of 19 points at one point but allowed the Wallabies to close the gap to just 8 points by the end of the match. When asked about areas for improvement, Farrell responded, "Absolutely, there's a lot to work on. We need to elevate our game to ensure a win is within reach because we know Australia will bring their best. If we can't get excited about what's ahead, then we're in the wrong place. This is the biggest game of our lives for everyone in our squad, and we will approach this week with that mindset." Smith's late withdrawal against the First Nations and Pacifica 15 raised concerns about his availability for the Test squad, potentially paving the way for Owen Farrell to take his place. However, Andy Farrell confirmed that Smith is fit and provided a candid assessment of Owen's performance, praising his left-footed chip that set up Jamie Osborne's first try. "He had some good moments, including a nice chip off his left foot. There were also some positive touches, but there's always room for improvement," he noted. Farrell Jr. played the entire match, which has been a rarity for him this injury-plagued season, and he embraced the challenge posed by the spirited First Nations and Pacifica 15, where players like Charlie Gamble, Tanular Tapu, and Lukhan Salakailoto excelled. "I enjoyed the experience," said the former England captain. "There are always aspects to improve upon, and we'll review the game to identify those. But I truly loved being on the field. I appreciated the difficulty of the match, it was tough. We had some early success, but it was a challenging game overall. I feel like I've been through a rigorous match just sitting here. I'm thankful for that. Looking ahead, we have a significant task to complete for the remainder of this tour, whether you're fortunate enough to be playing or preparing the team for what is a monumental occasion on Saturday and next week. Whatever role we play, it will be rewarding." Andy Farrell is scheduled to conduct a selection meeting on Wednesday before announcing his team on Thursday. However, with McCarthy unable to train, his participation seems unlikely. Mac Hansen, who missed the first test due to a foot injury, is in a similar situation. The Lions head coach remarked, "Mac is making progress. Whether it's fast enough will be determined later this week. There are many factors to consider, including performances from tonight. But we also need to think about what's best for this second test and how the squad is shaping up. Should we make a few changes to inject some freshness, or stick with the same players? All these considerations are crucial, and we must choose what's best for the team, especially for a game at the MCG with over 90,000 fans expected. It should be a challenge, and it will be exciting."